side of the boom. Streaming now.
Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning into News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi and you're watching this special broadcast of top stories from our studios here in the National Capital Region. We have an expansive list of stories for all of you to cover. Of course, we will talk about the elections that are on. Telangana is going to poll today. The polling is currently underway. We'll bring you visuals from Warangal, from Kamareddy, from Hyderabad, you name it, all those union ministers and big names, stalwarts in terms of Telangana politics. They've stepped out and spoken to the cameras. We'll play out those reactions as well. We'll bring you some international updates vis-a-vis what's happening in Nepal, with the first gay marriage now being officially registered. And that's not all. Pakistan politics, there are some sort of situations, chess pieces moving there as well vis-a-vis Imran Khan, and on the other hand, the acquittal of Nawaz as well. But we will also be focusing on the 55th day of the West Asian conflict between Israel and Hamas. Is another truce likely on the cards? This even as India says that it has backed the UNGA resolution that has called on Israel to withdraw from Golan Heights. And that's not all. We can see the big man's picture over there. Prime Minister Narendra Modi from the 30th of November till the 1st of December is going to be in UAE attending that COP28 summit. Climate change is of grave significance and importance. We have a full-blown segment on that as well. But first and foremost, let's shift our focus to the West's double standards on terror stands. And it has been exposed again, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look at this. Now, the United States has accused an Indian of allegedly plotting to kill Khalistani terrorist Gurpatwant Singh Pannun. According to a charge sheet filed by the US Department of Justice, a man named Nikhil Gupta worked with an unnamed Indian official to set up a meeting with an undercover agent tasked with eliminating Pannu on United States' soil. The indictment reveals that the plot to assassinate Gurpatwant Singh Pannun was orchestrated by an employee of an Indian government agency, self-identifying as a quote-unquote senior field officer responsible for security management and intelligence. Now, the individual claims to have served in India's Central Reserve Police Force, receiving training in battlecraft and weapons. He referred to as the CC-1 in the indictment, and this government employee recruited Nikhil Gupta in May to carry out the assassination. It also said that Gupta contacted an individual he believed to be a criminal associate to help find a hitman to carry out the killing. But the individual actually was a confidential source working with the DEA. Now, the confidential source then introduced Gupta to a purported hitman, but the individual was actually a DEA agent, according to the indictment. Now, it is being alleged that a payment of $1 lakh, $100,000, was to be made for the job. The MEA, back at home, the Ministry of External Affairs here in India, says it is taking the charges very seriously and has set up a high-level probe panel to examine the issue. Now, Pannun holds dual US and Canadian citizenship and had very recently threatened to bomb Air India as well. The NIA has filed a case against him in this very matter, ladies and gentlemen. And on the show to speak more on this is former diplomat Suresh Kumar Goyal. Always a pleasure to be speaking to you, sir. Very good morning to you. You know, before I delve into the larger question of the double standards of the West and how they weaponize humanitarian aspects as well, and who's a terrorist and who's not a terrorist, who carries out terror, let's just wait on that. First, I want to know, with all that's been happening over the last couple of months with Amritpal, with Nijjar's killing, with Gurpatwant Singh Pannun, and how India has taken its stand and how the West has taken its stand in shaping up. What's your opinion on this? Could you help the viewers very briefly as to what's happening?
First of all, let me comment on the story about the facts which have been actually reported in the indictment and the media report so far. It really reads like a spy novel. And some of the things which have been mentioned in the story are totally unbelievable. I mean, I would really think that somebody who is actually prosecuting the case in the US court would bother to check about the facts before giving the indictment. If the CC-1 is supposed to be an ex or present CRPF personnel with training in battle tanks and all that, we all know CRPF does not use the battle tanks. CRPF is a paramilitary force. They don't have they don't have the tank brigades. So therefore, being trained on the battle tank seems really like a huge imagination. Number two, $1 lakh, $100,000 to take out an asset like Pannun. Somebody has sold him very cheap, really. No, the whole story seems really like a great deal of imagination. Somebody writing a spy novel. Therefore, I don't know, and we don't even know who's this CC1. Whether he's still part of the CRPF, whether this is a government official. Let them prosecute the case. I think every government has a right to go by the legal processes in that country, just like we do. And therefore, if we have agreed to investigate the case in India, like we are doing it now, we will also come out with the facts that we have at the moment. So let the case be actually taken in a legal manner. That is perfectly okay with us, really. But the only thing I would say is, it really is amazing that the government of the USA and its legal department should be going by a story like this. And that too, keeping in mind the strategic nature of relations with India.
No, you're absolutely right, Ambassador Goel. You know, the West's double standard on terror has been exposed yet again. And I think that's the bottom line to take away from this.
Absolutely. Can they deny that they were the ones who sent their fighter aircraft into Pakistan to take Osama bin Laden? Can they deny that Osama bin Laden was taken from there, from Pakistan, from near Rawalpindi, and then he was buried somewhere in the sea or something, and till today, nobody has been able to find out the dead body of Osama bin Laden. How can the USA, which has the policy of taking out terrorists in this manner, tell India to basically not do the same thing that they have been doing? It's an obvious double standard. Kabir, however, all I'm saying here is that USA can afford to be brash. They have the military power, they are the superpower.
Certainly.
India is a democratic country. We have our legal processes. We will do the investigation as per our processes and come out with what actually our findings are. And let it be clear, then if it has come into the open in the media like this, so we shall also reveal our findings to the media and let it be there.
You know, some of the examples that you put out there, would really like to appreciate you putting out those examples for all the viewers, because it's important to understand that, United States defending somebody like, Niger, or defending somebody like Pannun calls for, some sort of a huddle to be formed back at home. And the steps that the Ministry of External Affairs is taking in the sense that a panel has been formed, are these the right steps in the right direction, sir?
Absolutely. One more example that I would like to really quote about the USA action. They took on Saddam Hussein, the president of Iraq at that time, on allegation that he was making nuclear bombs, of which there were no trace afterward. A whole country was destroyed because of unfounded suspicions of the US government. Anyway, I'll stop there as far as the US government's behavior is concerned. But yes, I think what we are doing is the right thing, because we do respect and we do value our relationship with the USA. And the USA has shared the charges in the indictment with India with evidence that they might have. I think it is our duty, it is our responsibility to investigate and present the truth as we find out from the investigation. That is absolutely the right thing to do.
Absolutely. United States and Canada are providing open platforms to Khalistani terrorists. Indian envoys have been threatened and heckled by pro-Khalistani terrorists in US and Canada. Let's not even go beyond the fact that, so many of our consulates from San Francisco to Australia, well, they've been under attack in the United States as well. So, the double standards has been exposed yet again. You're right when you say that we'll let them carry out their own prosecution. And meanwhile, I have full faith in, our panel here back at home that has been set up by the Ministry of External Affairs. On that note, Ambassador Goel, many thanks for joining with us early in the morning here and helping us out with your inputs on this particular story. Many thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that was Ambassador Goel. We'll have to wait and find out as to what essentially happens in this particular probe. Now, the Ministry of External Affairs has set up a panel, and the United States, according to their own indictment, are going to carry out their particular prosecution. Meanwhile, the double standards, yet again, exposed, ladies and gentlemen. All right, moving on to our mandate segment now, ladies and gentlemen, because from the 5 states that were going to polls, only Telangana is left, and Telangana polls today, ladies and gentlemen. Take a look. Semi-finals 2024, it's all going to happen today. And do continue to be with News 9 Live throughout the day, because the major exit polls is going to take place today in the evening once the polling has completed. Now, Telangana goes to polls today amid speculation about anti-incumbency, and Congress hopes for a second southern state under its belt. But the ruling BRS is banking on its social welfare program, and the BJP is hoping to expand its footprint in the south. A lot at stake for almost all the big parties over there. Now, voters are going to exercise their franchise in about 35,000 plus polling stations that have been set across the state. More than 2.5 lakh staff is currently engaged in poll duties for the Telangana Assembly polls. There are over 3.26 crore eligible voters, ladies and gentlemen, in the state of Telangana, who will seal the fate of about 2,300 contestants, give or take. The key candidates, of course, include BRS Supremo and Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao, his minister's son K.T. Rama Rao, TPCC President A. Revant Reddy, and Bharatiya Janata Party Lok Sabha members Bani Sanjay Kumar, D. Arvind, and Soyam Bapu Rao. On your screens right now, pictures that we got from the morning. G. Kishan Reddy, Union Minister, stepped out to vote, also spoke to the camera, said that, this time around the BJP is confident of making its footprint a real solid one in the state of Telangana. Several actors, Allu Arjun over there, making his way to vote, and you know how actors are dealt with, and the celebrity and the craze and the fanfare around these celebrities. Another one on your screen. Junior NTR standing in a line also. It's not like he's a celebrity, so he gets to go and vote first. Standing in a line, a proper line. And that's the way one should exercise their franchise. It is a festival. Isn't that what they say? There you have it. NTR standing there in the queue. Several other visuals coming across from various leaders, political leaders over there, former cricketers, now joining the fray as well.
Thank you.
Exercising their right to vote. You know what? Before we move on, before we talk about the key issues at play, what was the vote share back in 2018? What is it going to be like now? Let's take a look at some reactions. K. Kavita, of course, over there, daughter of current Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao, MLC. She was one of the first people to step out today in the morning and cast her vote. Let's listen into what K. Kavita had to say, what Union Minister G. Kishan Reddy had to say, and then we'll come back for more.
Well, first of all, we understand our people better, and our DNA matches with our people, and whatever people feel on the ground, because our ears are always on the ground, unlike the so-called national parties, which have now anyway become a larger size regional parties. They're not as strong as before, but yet they claim to understand our people, which they do not. And they have a universal kind of approach to every state, not knowing and understanding the sentiments or the culture of any given state. So in Telangana, it's the same case. Congress and BJP do not understand Telangana as we understand Telangana. And we fought for the state, we worked for the state. So we believe people will resonate better with BRS.
भारत के प्रजातंत्र में जो वोट डालने का अधिकार, वो महत्वपूर्ण जो वेपन है, इसको पूरे लोग उपयोग करना चाहिए। डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर ने आपको सबको ये अधिकार दिया गया, इस अधिकार को पूरा उपयोग करना चाहिए। इस अधिकार को उपयोग ना करते हुए, पोलिंग बूथ में जाकर समय देकर वोट ना डालते हुए किसको भी क्रिटिसाइज करने का कोई व्यक्ति को भी अधिकार नहीं है। इसलिए मैं सभी जनता से, भाई बहनों से अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं, आप घर से बाहर निकलकर पहला वोट डालना अपना फ़र्ज़ है, अपना रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, ज़रूरी भी है। इसलिए सभी लोग वोट डालने के लिए बाहर आइए। आज इस देश में और तेलंगाना सरकार में अच्छे व्यक्ति को, अच्छे सरकार को लाने का जिम्मेदारी आप सब लोगों के ऊपर है। आज मौका है तेलंगाना में कैसा सरकार चाहते हैं, कैसा व्यक्ति आपका एमएलए रहना चाहिए, आप तय करना चाहिए। बहुत जगह कोई भी पार्टी हो और पैसे से, लिकर से, शराब से लोगों को देकर वोट लेना चाहते हैं, मगर मैं सबसे अनुरोध करना चाहता हूँ, उसको ठोकर मारो पैसे को, लिकर को। आपका मन में क्या चाहिए, आपको मन क्या चाहते हैं, व्यक्ति कैसा है, पार्टी कैसा है, ये देख के वोट डालना। लिकर से, शराब से, पैसे से वोट कभी नहीं डालना। भगवान आपको यह अधिकार दिया है, आपका मन के विचार के आधार पर वोट डालिए। एक अच्छे सरकार लाने के लिए सभी लोगों का जिम्मेदारी है। आप बाहर आकर अपना वोट को इस्तेमाल करते हुए अच्छे एमएलए को, अच्छे सरकार को लाने के लिए पूरा सभी लोग मन से सोचकर प्रयास करना चाहिए।
Since 7 o'clock in the morning, we have started seeing long queues at very interior places also. We have got long queues from Mahbubabad, we got long queues from Asifabad. Of course, urban areas also it has started. So polling is going on briskly. Every place it is very peaceful, and I request all the voters to please join and vote. I have just now cast my vote along with my family, so I request everybody to come and join.
Well, quite a decent and neutral call there by Union Minister, beg your pardon, G. Kishan Reddy, and the Telangana's Chief Election Officer as well. But what are some of those key issues that people are actually going to now vote on? Let's take a look at that. The key issues, of course, involves unemployment woes. The unemployment rate is at 15.1% as per the periodic labor force survey. There's, of course, anti-incumbency as well, a growing sentiment among the people for a change in leadership, a KCR fatigue. Is that really going to be the reason of his ouster? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. Also, you have the corruption issue as well, for what Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in all his rallies across the state of Telangana, has left no stone unturned to go all guns blazing on the corruption factor in the BRS. Now, Congress alleges corruption in the Kaleshwaram lift irrigation project. That's another aspect to take a look at. Congress has called KCR government a 30% commission Sarkara, a 30% commission government, something that it called the Basavaraj Bomai government in Karnataka as well. And after that, well, that campaign did pay off. Congress did end up winning with a thumping mandate. Also, you have the freebie burden. Now, there is already an outstanding debt in the state of Telangana, which has to reach rupees 3.57 lakh crore in the fiscal year 2023-2024. And of course, the backward caste. Telangana comprises 134 distinct backward classes. And Home Minister Amit Shah, he announced that Telangana, if the BJP comes to power, will see an OBC chief minister. If that is something that is going to woo the voters, again, we'll have to wait till the 3rd of December, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, some of the key faces, take a look at this. K. Chandrasekhar Rao, of course, over there in terms of key faces that are fighting and contesting these polls. You've got K. Chandrasekhar Rao from the BRS party. Gajwal and Kamareddy is from where he's going to be contesting. You've got K.T. Ramarao, his son. He's going to be fighting it from Sirsala. You have A. Revant Reddy, who's the Congress party, the chief of the TPCC, and he's going to be fighting from Kodangal and Kamareddy. You've got Etala Rajendra, who joined the Bharatiya Janata Party ahead of the previous GHMC polls. Again, a critical face in Telangana politics. He's going to be fighting against K. Chandrasekhar Rao from Gajwal. And you've got Muhammad Azharuddin. Not many that don't know this man from the Congress party, now going to fight from Jubilee Hills as well. What's going to happen? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. Meanwhile, the poll of polls, that's going to take place today. Keep watching News 9 Live for that. Grueling 400 plus hours, more than a fortnight stuck inside a collapsed portion of a tunnel. The medical examination of all the 41 workers who were rescued from the Silkyara tunnel yesterday is underway in Rishikesh's AIIMS. The All India Institute of Medical Sciences in Rishikesh is currently carrying out the treatment of all the 41 workers. Take a look at that. Pictures on your screens. And after their rescue on Tuesday evening, the workers were kept under medical observation at a hospital in Chinyalisur. They were then brought to AIIMS Rishikesh in a Chinook helicopter in the afternoon. Now, an official at AIIMS Rishikesh told the news agency that the workers will first be at the trauma ward of the hospital, from where they will be shifted to the disaster ward for a detailed examination of their health parameters. Like we've been saying, antidepressants, food, fuel, pretty much everything was being sent inside the tunnel when they were stranded there. But the mental trauma aspect, the mental health deterioration is something that needs better meters to gauge it. Shifting our focus to news coming in from Andhra Pradesh, where Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy is going to be dedicating the Auk Tunnel project in Nandyal district to the people of Andhra Pradesh on the 30th of November. Now, Finance Minister Bugana Rajendranath has instructed the officials to swiftly prepare for the imminent launch of the second tunnel in the Auk project in Nandyal district. It is an integral component of the Galeru Nagari Sujala Saravanti project. Minister Rajendranath highlighted the second tunnel's significance in redirecting floodwaters from the Sirisayalam project to Gandikota Reservoir and personally inspected the project works with senior officials just last Sunday. He also emphasized the crucial role of the second tunnel project in the Galeru Nagari Sujala Saravanti schemes of flood canal designed to ensure a steady water supply to Rayalaseema's agricultural fields by diverting a minimum of 38,000 million cubic feet of water within a 30-day time frame. News coming in from Afghanistan, where the country has declared plans to establish an embassy in India, as conveyed by Sher Muhammad Abbas Tanizkai, the Taliban-appointed Deputy Political Minister of Foreign Affairs. Now, emphasizing Afghanistan's commitment to strengthening ties with India, the announcement was made by the Afghan embassy in India on social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter. The embassy, to be overseen by accomplished Afghan diplomats, aims to cultivate friendly relations between the two nations and provide facilities for the Afghan community in India. The Afghan embassy, via its social media presence on X, reiterated Afghanistan's principled stance and expressed gratitude to the Indian people. Meanwhile, the top of other international stories, and it is important to mark this one. Henry Kissinger, the Nobel Peace Prize winner and influential figure in United States' foreign policy, passed away on Wednesday at his Connecticut home, as confirmed by Kissinger associates. Now, despite being at the age of 100, Kissinger remained engaged in various activities, including attending White House meetings, publishing a book on leadership, and providing testimony on North Korea's nuclear threat before a Senate committee. A momentous life of Henry Kissinger. So much that this man has done. At the age of 100, was still active, would still visit the White House. And in terms of United States' foreign policy, a crucial figure that is going to be remembered for a long, long time to come. Meanwhile, shifting our focus to Nepal, where a gay couple on Wednesday became the first in the Nepalese nation to receive official same-sex marriage status. The Himalayan nation is one of the first in Asia that has allowed it. Take a look at that. Pictures on your screens. This comes 5 months after the Supreme Court issued an interim order clearing the way for such marriages in the largely conservative country. The marriage is between 36-year-old Ram Bahadur Gurung, who was born male but identifies as female, and Surendra Pandey, 26, who identifies as male. Now, Sunil Babu Pant, an openly gay former parliamentarian and leading LGBTQ+ rights activist, said that after 23 years of struggle, we've got this historic moment an achievement. And finally, Maya and Surendra got their marriage registered at the local administration office. Lots of participants held up placards while taking part in a gay pride parade to mark the Pride Month in Kathmandu as well. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, whilst being on a campaign trail, embraced the January 6 rioters as patriots, and he also went on to assure potential pardons if he were to be re-elected to office. Now his legal team, which is preparing for the upcoming March 4 hearing, is trying to distance Trump from the rioters and frame them as independent actors. Special counsel Jack Smith contests that Trump is responsible for the Capitol chaos by emphasizing on his supportive rhetoric. While Trump denied wrongdoing and called the case politically motivated, separate civil cases assess his liability for the Capitol attack. The trial's outcome may hinge on defense strategy to minimize links to the rioters and address concerns about the jury impact. Over 800 have pleaded guilty or convicted, with 2/3 sentenced to prison, as Trump's rhetoric remains a political focal point. And building on Ukraine's battlefield and political achievements was the focus for the NATO meeting that took place in Brussels recently. Britain's Foreign Secretary David Cameron spoke to the media during his arrival for the second day of the NATO Foreign Ministers Summit and added, quote-unquote, concrete steps were needed to help Ukraine fight Russia, which invaded Ukraine in the February of 2022.
2 weeks ago, I was in Ukraine saying we needed to do everything that we could to help the Ukrainians repel this appalling aggression by Putin. And I'll be building consensus for that view here at NATO today. When you look at the big picture, what's happened recently is the Ukrainians have pushed the Russian Navy right back across the Black Sea. They've opened a shipping lane to get their exports out. Their economy is growing. And of course, they're knocking on the door of both NATO and the EU and getting a very warm response. These are huge achievements, and our job today is to build on those achievements and work out what other concrete steps we can take to help the Ukrainians in their struggle and to show that Russian aggression must never pay.
And that's not all that happened in Brussels. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg warned on Wednesday that Russia has amassed a large missile stockpile ahead of winter. He also stressed that Russia had been making new attempts to strike Ukraine's power grid and energy infrastructure.
Russia has amassed a large missile stockpile ahead of winter. And we see new attempts to strike Ukraine's power grid and energy infrastructure, trying to leave Ukraine in the dark and cold. Russia is also becoming much more dependent on China. Year by year, Moscow is mortgaging its future to Beijing. Militarily, Russia has lost a substantial part of its conventional forces. Hundreds of aircraft, thousands of tanks, and more than 300,000 casualties.
And United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken, he was there at the meet as well, and he said that there was no sense of fatigue among NATO allies when it came to helping Ukraine. He said, we must and we will continue to support Ukraine at the meeting in Brussels. Let's listen in to what Blinken had to say.
First, we focused on NATO's enduring support and commitment to Ukraine. And I have to tell you, listening to all of our colleagues around the table, every single one expressed strong, enduring support for Ukraine. Some are questioning whether the United States and other NATO allies should continue to stand with Ukraine as we enter the second winter of Putin's brutality. But the answer here today at NATO is clear and it's unwavering. We must and we will continue to support Ukraine. I heard no sense of fatigue or falling back. On the contrary, a determination to continue to press forward. And there's a good reason for that. I think every ally recognizes that this is a matter not only of doing the right thing, it's a matter of self-interest, including for the United States.
Now, whether the NATO meet in Brussels was a cause of worry for Kremlin or not, Well, we wouldn't know that, but this one certainly is, because the Kremlin, commenting on media reports that Poland plans to send troops to Finland's border with Russia, said that such a move could stoke tensions and that Russia would see it as a threat. The head of Poland's National Security Bureau was reported to have said this week that Warsaw planned to approve a Finnish request for troops to be deployed close to its border with Russia.
Конфликта как такового нет. Во-первых, Финляндия...
Well, there is no conflict as such. Firstly, nothing, and no one is threatening Finland. And in this case, this is, of course, an absolutely redundant measure to ensure border security, because there is no threat there. In reality, there is no tension. Tension may actually arise during the concentration of additional units on our border, because the Finns must be clearly aware that this will pose a threat to us. An increase in the concentration of military units on our borders. Therefore, this is a completely unprovoked, unjustified concentration of armed units on the Russian border.
And moving on to Pakistan, where a Pakistani court acquitted former Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif in a graft case on Wednesday, pretty much clearing a major hurdle for his potential participation in February's parliamentary elections. This decision follows the court's recent restoration of Sharif's right to appeal a 2018 conviction related to a luxury apartment purchases in London. Having returned to Pakistan after 4 years of self-exile, Sharif still has to overcome another legal challenge tied to graft charges linked to a 7-year sentence for non-disclosure about his family's 1999 steel mills. Sharif resigned in 2017 amid corruption allegations, expressed gratitude for the ruling, emphasizing divine victory. Previously sentenced to a total of 17 years in 2 cases, Sharif's political disqualification, per Pakistani law, hinged on his convictions. Now, the 2018 elections brought Imran Khan, a prominent former cricketer turned politician, to power after Sharif's departure. However, Khan was ousted in April 2022 via a no-confidence vote and is currently serving a 3-year prison sentence on corruption charges himself. Despite his incarceration, Khan remains a leading opposition figure, with his Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf party maintaining substantial support as well. This, even as we're learning that United Arab Emirates is likely to invest between $20 to $25 billion in financially strained Pakistan through a series of agreements. The signing ceremony followed discussions between caretaker Prime Minister Anwarul Haq Khakkar and UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. The MOUs encompass collaborative investments spanning various sectors, including energy, port operations, food security, mining, aviation, and banking as well. This financial influx is a welcome development for Pakistan, which has grappled with a deteriorating economy, acute balance of payments challenges, and diminishing foreign exchange reserves. During the bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Khakkar and Sheikh Mohammed, attended by Chief of Army Staff General Syed Asim Munir, both leaders expressed their commitment to enhancing strategic cooperation and dialogue. Prime Minister Khakkar extended gratitude to the UAE's leadership for unwavering support in the economic and financial domains. And coming up next, the latest updates from the war front. It's the 55th day of the West Asian conflict between Israel and Hamas. The following content may contain visuals that are disturbing, graphic, or sensitive in nature. Viewer discretion is advised. This material is intended for mature audiences and may not be suitable for all viewers. Please exercise caution while watching, and if you find such content distressing, we recommend discontinuing viewing. This disclaimer is provided to ensure awareness and to prioritize viewer well-being. Well, now the war between Israel and Hamas has now entered its 55th day. Let's get you the latest update on your screens first. in terms of the hostage swaps and the hostage release. 16 hostages were released in the latest batch, which is the 6th batch of hostage swap. In the latest swap, this includes 12 Israelis and 4 Thai nationals, a total of 16 hostages that have been released. According to the reports that we're picking up, 30 Palestinian prisoners are going to be freed, including 16 minors and 14 women from various Israeli prisons. This even as various reports are telling us that the Hamas is not really happy with the proposals of extending the truce, and what is being put there on the negotiation table is not the very best. A total of 70 Israelis have been released and 210 Palestinian prisoners have been released since the truce happened. 6 days of no fighting, but the truce is now certainly ended until an extension does come about. 1,400 plus aid trucks have been let into Gaza so far. In terms of the death toll, 14,854 Palestinians have been killed since the 7th of October, 1,200 Israelis, but 6,150 children are also part of the death toll since the 7th of October. The Palestine Red Cross Society has delivered 21 trucks of aid into Gaza on their own accord as well. And this even as now India is playing a crucial role again. India has now supported the United Nations resolution calling upon Israel to withdraw from Golan Heights. India was among the 91 nations to have voted in favor of the resolution at the United Nations. Pictures on your screens of exactly what happened. The Syrian Golan. Now the document essentially said that the UNGA reiterates its demand that Israel withdraw from all occupied Syrian Golan to the line of June 4, 1967 in compliance with the relevant Security Council resolutions. 91 countries, including India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nepal, China, Lebanon, Iran, Iraq and Indonesia, amongst others, voted in favor of the resolution at the United Nations. Meanwhile, 8 countries, namely Australia, United Kingdom, United States, Palau, Micronesia, Israel, Canada and the Marshall Islands voted against this UNGA resolution. But is the truce going to be extended? This is what we're picking up from various reports. Hamas is said to seek a 4-day truce extension as the 6th group of hostages was freed. Now, Israel has said it is willing to prolong the halt in fighting by another 24 hours for every 10 hostages that have been released. Meanwhile, United States, Qatar, both these major parties that had brokered the deal as well in the beginning, are pushing for larger deals that could see civilian men and soldiers be returned. The ongoing truce is scheduled to expire early on Thursday, after a 6-day pause in the conflict sparked by the deadly Hamas's assault that prompted an Israeli military offensive that was still continuing in the Gaza Strip. 16 people who were released by Hamas on Wednesday were met with celebrations and cheers on the streets as their convoy drove through Israel. The group of civilians included Israelis, dual nationals and Thai citizens, according to official statements. As part of an exchange and the deal under the truce, Israel will release 30 Palestinian prisoners, 16 minors and 14 women from 2 of its prisons. In a repeat of scenes over the past 6 days during humanitarian pause in hostilities, the civilians were released to the International Committee of the Red Cross and driven in vehicles to Israel. The hostages freed were among some of the 240 people seized by Hamas gunmen during the rampage on southern Israel on the 7th of October. Well, taking a look at some other top international developments as well. BTS, well, it is the craze for so many reasons. Now, the remaining 4 members of the South Korean K-pop supergroup BTS, they're going to commence their military service in mid-December. RM and V, the group's main rapper and leader, are set to enlist on the 11th of December, less than a fortnight left, with Jimin and Jungkook following suit just the next day. Now this comes as an addition to the three members, that is Suga, Jin and J-Hope, who are already in military service. Moving on, Shanghai Disneyland previewed its upcoming Zootopia themed area on the 29th of November before the official opening on the 20th of December. The attraction includes trackless ride to pursue the character Bellwether and a show featuring Zootopia residents. Visitors also have the opportunity to meet actors portraying key characters like Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde from the movie. And that's all the time we have for you in this edition of Top Stories. News and updates continues right on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
With all this gear, you must be wondering if I'm climbing a mountain. Well, let me give you a wider look of this place. This is Asia's largest mountain of shame.
A mountain of waste, almost the height of the Qutub Minar.
When you enter capital cities of some of the biggest countries in the world,